Ah, welcome back. You walking contradiction. You flawless nightmare. You beautiful catastrophe in human skin. Yeah, I'm talking to you. The one they can't stop staring at. The one who walks into rooms and the temperature drops 3 degrees. The one whose face could launch 1,000 campaigns, but whose energy could end 1,000 careers with just one look. They say you're prettier than the people on their screens, more magnetic than the ones with millions of followers, more captivating than the faces plastered on billboards and magazine covers. But here's what they don't say out loud. Here's what they whisper when you leave the room. Here's the part that keeps them up at night. You scare the living hell out of them. Not because you're cruel, not because you're mean, but because beauty was supposed to be soft, digestible, controllable, safe. And you're none of those things. You're gorgeous and dangerous, stunning and untouchable, breathtaking and absolutely terrifying. They don't know what to do with that combination. See, the world has a script for beautiful people. Smile pretty. Be grateful for the attention. Play nice. Stay humble. Let them touch your energy. Let them consume your presence. Let them feel comfortable around your light. But you never read that script. Or maybe you did, and you burned it. Because your beauty doesn't beg. Your face doesn't apologize. Your presence doesn't negotiate. You walk in looking like a masterpiece, but carrying the energy of a loaded weapon. And that breaks their programming entirely. They wanted someone they could respect from a distance. Someone they could put on a pedestal and control with praise. But you're not a statue. You're a storm. You're not here to be admired. You're here to be remembered, feared, and left the hell alone unless someone's brave enough to match your frequency. They say you look better than celebrities, and they're not lying. But what they're really saying is this. You have the face of someone who should be loved by millions, but the aura of someone who doesn't need a single soul. Let's talk about what happens when you enter a room. The air shifts. Conversations. Pause, just a heartbeat too long. Eyes find you, even when they're trying not to. They tell themselves it's because you're attractive. And sure, that's part of it. But attractiveness doesn't make people nervous. Power does. You don't walk like someone hoping to be noticed. You walk like someone who already knows they're the most important thing in the space and doesn't care if anyone agrees. That's the difference. Celebrities perform beauty. They angle themselves for validation. They smile on cue. They make you feel comfortable so you'll keep watching. But you don't perform anything. Your beauty just exists, unfiltered, unapologetic, and somehow that makes it more devastating, because there's no softness around it, no safety net, no invitation to get close, just raw presence wrapped in a warning label. They see your face and think, angel. Then they feel your energy and think, predator, and their brains short-circuit trying to reconcile the two. You want to know why they say you look better than celebrities but still keep their distance? Because celebrities are designed to be loved. You're designed to be reckoned with. Celebrities make people feel good about themselves. You make people question everything. Celebrities are approachable fantasies. You're an unapproachable reality. They see someone famous and think, I wish I could be them. They see you and think, I hope I never cross them. There's a difference between being beautiful and being powerful. Celebrities have the first. You have both. And the second one That's what scares them. Because power doesn't smile for pictures. Power doesn't beg for followers. Power doesn't explain itself. It just is. And you carry that in every step, every glance, every word you choose not to say. They look at you and see someone who could break hearts without trying, ruin lives without speaking, command attention without asking. And the scariest part? You're not even trying. This is just who you are, effortless and lethal. Here's the thing about having a face that could stop traffic and an energy that could stop hearts. People don't know how to categorize you. They need boxes. Pretty but harmless. Hot but dumb. Attractive but desperate for attention. You shatter every single one. You're stunning, but you're not performing. You're magnetic, but you're not chasing. You're flawless, but you're not fragile. And that combination, that is what makes you untouchable. They've seen beauty before. The internet is full of it. But beauty with boundaries, beauty with bite, beauty that doesn't flinch, doesn't smile on command, doesn't soften itself for comfort. That's rare. That's you. You're the kind of person who could model for the biggest brands in the world, but would probably tell them to go to hell if they tried to control you. You're the kind of face that belongs on screens, but the kind of soul that refuses to be packaged. And that refusal, that's your power, because you're not interested in being consumed. You're interested in being respected. And if they can't do that, they don't get access. Period. They whisper about you. You know that, right? Not just because you're beautiful, because you're something else. Something they can't name. They say things like, yeah, they're gorgeous, but there's something intense about them. Like, I wouldn't want to be on their bad side. They look like they'd ruin you and never think about it again. They're too pretty to be that intimidating. But somehow they are. And they're right. You are. You've mastered the art of looking like heaven, but feeling like a closed case file. They want to get close, but they're afraid of what they'll find. They want to know you, but they're terrified you'll see through them. And you will. Because here's your secret. You don't just look better than celebrities. You see better than most people. You read energy like others. Read text messages. You catch lies before they're finished being told. You sense intention in a handshake. You know who's real and who's performing before they open their mouths. And that's what makes you dangerous. You're beautiful, yes, but you're also aware, awake, untrickable. You've seen the game, learned the patterns, and refused to play. So now you just exist, unbothered, unreachable, untouchable. And it drives them absolutely insane. People think beauty is power. But beauty without boundaries is just bait. Beauty with self-respect, beauty with sharp instincts, beauty with the ability to say no and mean it, that's a weapon. And you've weaponized yourself without even realizing it. You didn't wake up one day and decide to be intimidating. You just decided to stop shrinking. You stopped smiling when you didn't feel like it. You stopped explaining yourself to people who weren't listening. You stopped making yourself smaller so others could feel bigger. And in doing so, you became massive. Not in ego, but in presence. People feel you before they see you. They sense you in the silence. They remember you long after you're gone. That's not beauty. That's magnetism wrapped in a force field. You don't attract everyone. You attract the brave, the real, the ones who can handle intensity without flinching. And you repel the weak, the fake, the ones who need you soft to feel strong. And honestly, that's exactly how it should be. Let me tell you what really happens when someone who looks like a dream but feels like a nightmare walks into their world. They freeze. They calculate. They wonder if you're approachable or if approaching you would be the last mistake they make. They analyze your face and think, wow. Then they catch your eyes and think, wait. Because your eyes, those don't lie. Those don't perform. Those don't pretend. Those are the eyes of someone who's seen too much, survived too much, learned too much to ever be fooled again. They're the eyes of someone who's been underestimated and came back terrifying. Someone who's been betrayed and became untrickable. Someone who's been broken and rebuilt themselves into something unbreakable. You don't need to say a word. Your presence says it all. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be left alone or respected, to choose wisely. And most people, they choose distance, not because they don't want you, because they know they can't handle you. And you're fine with that, because you stopped needing people who can't meet you at your level a long time ago. They compare you to celebrities. But here's the difference. Celebrities are built. You're born. Celebrities are curated. You're raw. Celebrities have teams of people making sure they look perfect. You just wake up like this, with no filter, no script, no performance. And that authenticity, that's what scares them the most. Because celebrities are safe. They're packaged. They're designed to make you feel a certain way. But you're unpredictable. You're real. You're not interested in making anyone comfortable. That's a disruption. That's a rebellion. That's a middle finger to the whole system. They say you look like you could be famous, but the truth is, fame would ruin you, not because you're not strong enough, because you're too real for it. Fame requires performance. You've never performed a day in your life. Fame requires people-pleasing. You've never pleased anyone but yourself. Fame requires you to care what strangers think. And you stopped caring about that the moment you realized their opinions don't pay your bills or heal your wounds. So, yeah. People say you look better than celebrities. And maybe you do. Maybe your face could sell 1 million products. Maybe your presence could fill a stadium. But here's what they'll never say out loud. They're relieved you're not famous. Because if you were, if you had a platform, if you had a microphone and millions watching, you'd be too dangerous. You'd say the things they're all thinking but too scared to speak. You'd break the illusion. You'd show people what real power looks like. And the system, the industry, the machine, they can't have that. They need people who play along, who smile, who perform, who stay in line. And you've never been good at lines. You don't follow. You don't conform. You barely even acknowledge the rules exist. You just live. And somehow, that's scarier than anything they've ever seen. Because if one person can be that free, that unapologetic, that unbothered, it means others can too. And that's a threat to everyone invested in control. Let's go deeper. You know what they see when they look at you? A mirror. And they hate mirrors. Because mirrors don't lie. You reflect back everything they're not. The confidence they fake. The boundaries they can't set. the self-respect they traded for validation, the power they gave away to feel accepted. You didn't give anything away. You hoarded your energy like currency. You protected your peace like property. You guarded your soul like it was the last one on earth. And now, you walk around looking like a masterpiece and feeling like a fortress. And people, they don't know whether to respect you or run, so they do both. They admire you from a distance. They compliment you to others, but they never get too close. Because getting close to you requires something most people don't have: authenticity. You can't fake your way into someone's life when that someone can smell performance from a mile away. You can't manipulate someone who's already seen every trick. You can't play games with someone who stopped playing years ago. Here's what makes you different from every pretty face they scroll past online. You have substance. And substance is rare. Beauty is common. Scroll for 5 seconds and you'll find 100 faces. But a face with a soul that refuses to bend, a presence that demands respect before affection, a person who's beautiful and unbothered, that's 1 in a million. That's you. You're not pretty and desperate. You're pretty and dangerous. You're not attractive and insecure. You're attractive and unreachable. You're not stunning and seeking validation. You're stunning and indifferent to their opinions. And that indifference, that's the most attractive thing about you. Because people are used to beauty that begs, beauty that performs, beauty that needs them. But you don't need anyone. You're complete, self-sufficient, whole. And that completeness radiates. It's in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you exist without explanation. You don't justify your choices. You don't explain your boundaries. You don't defend your standards. You just live by them. And if someone doesn't like it, they're free to leave. And most do. Not because you're difficult, because they're not ready. You ever notice how people always have something to say about you, but never to you? That's not an accident. That's fear. They talk about you in group chats. They analyze you over drinks. They dissect your energy like it's a case study. But face to face, silence, awkward smiles, forced small talk. Because up close, you're too real, too intense, too much. And too much is just code for, I can't handle this level of authenticity. They're used to people who dim themselves, who laugh at jokes that aren't funny, who agree to keep the peace, who soften their opinions, who mold themselves to fit the room. But you don't mold. You don't bend. You don't fade. You walk in as you are, and if the room can't handle it, the room can adjust. And most rooms, they're not built for that kind of energy. So they watch, they whisper, they wonder, but they don't approach. And honestly, that's fine. Because you're not here to collect people. You're here to live fully. And if that means living alone, so be it. Loneliness is better than fakeness. Solitude is better than shallow company. And you learned that the hard way. They say you have the face of a model and the aura of a mobster. And I don't think that's an insult. I think that's a compliment. Because it means you're not one-dimensional. You're not just a pretty face smiling for the camera. You're a complex human with layers, depth, history, pain, power. You're someone who's been through hell and came back glowing. Someone who's been underestimated and became unstoppable. someone who's been hurt and became untouchable. That's not something you learn. That's something you earn through betrayal, through loss, through nights spent rebuilding yourself with no help, through mornings where you looked in the mirror and chose yourself over everyone who chose to leave. You didn't become this person overnight. You became this person through fire. And now you walk around carrying that fire in your eyes. And people, they see it. They feel the heat before you even speak. They know instinctively, this one's not like the rest. This one doesn't break. This one doesn't beg. This one doesn't need me. And that realization, that's what makes them uncomfortable. Because they're used to being needed, and you don't need anyone. Let's talk about what happens when beauty stops being a gift and becomes a test. Because that's what you are now, a walking test. Every person who approaches you is being tested. Can you respect me without trying to own me? Can you admire me without trying to control me? Can you handle me without trying to tame me? Most fail. They see your face and think possession. They see your body and think access. They see your beauty and think opportunity. But you're not an opportunity. You're not a conquest. You're not a prize. You're a person with boundaries, with standards, with zero tolerance for disrespect. And the moment someone crosses that line, they're gone. No second chances, no explanations, no closure, just gone. Because you learned a long time ago that people who don't respect you the first time won't respect you the 10th time. And you're done wasting time on people who need multiple lessons to learn. One rule: don't mess with me. So now, your beauty is the bait, and your boundaries are the trap. They come for the looks. They leave because of the energy. And you're not sorry about it. Not even a little bit. Here's what people don't tell you about being beautiful and intimidating at the same time. You lose people, not because you're mean, because you're selective. You don't let everyone in. You don't laugh at every joke. You don't engage with every conversation. You don't entertain every advance. And in a world where people feel entitled to your energy just because they find you attractive, that selectiveness feels like rejection, and they hate you for it. They call you cold, stuck up, too much, too intense, unapproachable. But what they're really saying is this: you won't let me use you. You won't let me consume you. You won't let me have access to you without earning it. And that's unforgivable in their eyes, because they're used to beauty that's accessible, beauty that's friendly, beauty that makes them feel good about themselves. But your beauty doesn't do that. Your beauty just exists. And if they can't handle existing near it without trying to own it, that's their problem, not yours. You're not here to be everyone's fantasy. You're here to be your own reality. And if that means walking alone, so be it. You've walked alone before, and you'll walk alone again. Because being alone is better than being with people who make you feel like you need to shrink. You know what's funny? They say you look better than celebrities, but they treat you worse. Because celebrities are untouchable by design. They're on screens, behind velvet ropes, surrounded by security. But you're right here, in their city, in their spaces, walking the same streets. And that accessibility, that's what makes them think they can try you. They think because you're not famous, you're fair game. They think because you don't have a publicist, You don't have standards. They think because you're not on a magazine cover, you're not out of their league. But here's the truth. You're more out of their league than any celebrity they respect, because celebrities perform accessibility. They smile, they wave, they engage, but you don't perform anything. You don't owe anyone a smile. You don't owe anyone warmth. You don't owe anyone access. The puppeteers, the string pullers, the whisperers in the dark. You know the type. They slither through life, grinning like Cheshire cats, convinced they've got the world wrapped around their little bony fingers. Masters of the game, architects of deception, untouchable, or so they think. They scheme, they twist, they set the stage, place the pieces, and oh, how they love to watch you dance. They push, you stumble. They pull, you kneel. Every move calculated, every lie laced with just enough honey to keep you hooked. But here's the funny thing about games. No one stays the player forever. Sooner or later, the board flips. You feel it, don't you? That sting in your chest, that quiet rage boiling under your skin. Because you've been there, played for a fool, used like a puppet, strings yanked without mercy. They thought they had you trapped, blind to the script they wrote for you. But tell me, what happens when the puppet learns to cut the strings? What happens when the prey sharpens its fangs? They lie with a smile, promise with empty hands, take without blinking. And they do it so effortlessly, like a magician pulling tricks out of thin air. But here's the real magic. They make you doubt what's right in front of you. Gaslighting, deception, the grand illusion. It's all in your head. You're overreacting. I never said that. And just like that, the truth, buried. They build a world where they are the heroes, the kind ones, the victims. And you're the fool, the troublemaker, the crazy one. Because if they spin the story just right, twist the words just enough, you'll believe it. You'll question yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm the problem, ha. That's their favorite trick, turning their sins into your guilt. But here's the real kicker. Manipulators? They don't just want control. No. That's not enough. They want ownership. They want you to doubt your instincts, your thoughts, your sanity, until you're nothing but a puppet tangled in their strings. But oh, the moment you see them, the moment you learn their little game, that's when the fun really begins. A lie too big, a promise too thin, a trick too obvious. And suddenly, something shifts. Their perfect little illusion, so carefully crafted, so delicately maintained, begins to crack. You feel it. That gnawing, whispering instinct in the back of your mind. Something's not right. But they laugh. They dismiss it. You're imagining things. But aren't we all? At first you ignore it. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe you're just paranoid. But then it happens again. And again. And again. The story changes. The details don't line up. You catch that flicker in their eyes. Panic, just for a second, before they slip the mask back on. Oh, they know. They know the strings are starting to unravel. And here's where it gets delicious. They double down, they push harder, more lies, more guilt, more sweet little deceptions wrapped in poisoned words. Because if they can keep you blind, they can keep you trapped. But you see it now, don't you? That first crack in their mask. It's small, almost invisible, But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that is the beginning of their end. The moment you stop reacting, something beautiful happens. They push. They poke. They throw their usual tricks at you, expecting the same old dance. But you don't move. No anger, no desperation, no scrambling to prove yourself. Just silence. And that is their worst nightmare. You see, manipulators don't just crave control, they need it. It's their oxygen, their lifeline, their twisted little drug. But when you stop playing along, when you stop feeding their ego, their power begins to crumble. The puppet refuses to dance, the strings go slack, and suddenly, the puppet master isn't so powerful anymore. Watch their hands tremble. Watch the fake confidence crack. They'll throw out bigger lies, harsher words, desperate attempts to pull you back in. What's wrong? Why are you acting like this? You've changed. But isn't that the point? You have changed. You've stopped being their plaything, and they hate it. Because the truth is, they were never strong on their own. Their power only existed because you gave it to them. But now, you're untouchable. Their words bounce off. Their mind games fall flat. They're playing chess with a ghost, screaming into a void that doesn't care anymore. And that is when they start to break. Oh, they'll panic. You can see it in their eyes. The sudden flicker of fear. The realization that the strings they once held so tightly are slipping, gone, and they can't stand it. So what do? They scramble, clawing, grasping, trying everything to drag you back into their twisted little game. First, they'll try the sweet talk. Oh, how quickly the insults turn to compliments. The indifference turns to affection. I was just looking out for you. You misunderstood me. You're being so dramatic. But their words don't taste the same anymore, do they? No, because now you see them. Then comes the guilt trip, the rewriting of history. After everything I did for you, you're the one who's changed. I never meant to hurt you, and for a moment, just a moment, you might feel that old pull, that nagging doubt. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I overreacted. But then you remember, this is the same script they've used before. The same old playbook, just dusted off and rewritten with new ink. And when that doesn't work, that's when the claws come out. The mask shatters, the patience evaporates, and you see them for what they really are. Desperate. You'll regret this. You're nothing without me. Nobody else will put up with you. Do you hear it? That's not strength. That's fear. That's the voice of someone who's lost their grip and they know it. So you watch, not with anger, not with sorrow, but with amusement, because you've already won. They just haven't accepted it yet. Let them rage, let them beg, let them twist in their own web of lies. You don't need to fight them anymore. The moment you stopped playing, they lost. And that is their final poetic downfall. The irony. The puppet master tangled in his own strings. The spider, once so sure, now flailing in its own web. You see, manipulators think they're artists, masters of illusion, architects of deception. They weave their lies so carefully, each thread placed with precision, each word calculated to control. But there's one thing they always forget. The more intricate the web, the easier it is to get stuck. One line needs another and another and another until suddenly They're running in circles, tripping over their own fabrications. They told so many different stories to so many different people that even they can't keep track anymore. And oh, isn't that delicious? Watching them stutter, watching them hesitate, watching the gears in their head grind as they try to remember what version of reality they spun this time. And then comes the collapse. It starts small, a contradiction here, a slip up there, but lies are fragile things, aren't they? One crack, and the whole foundation crumbles. They scramble to cover it up, but the more they struggle, the deeper they sink. Just like quicksand. Just like a noose tightening, inch by inch, with every desperate gasp for control. They thought they were untouchable, that no one could ever outplay them. But the truth has a way of catching up. It slithers in through the cracks, pools beneath their feet, rises up until they're drowning in their own deceit. And the best part? You don't have to lift a single finger. You don't have to strike them down. No, no, no. They do it to themselves. And oh, what a spectacle it is. Watching them try to talk their way out, claw their way free, only to realize there is no way out. The same web they wove to trap you has wrapped around them. Tighter, 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 until there's no more room to move, no more room to breathe, just them, their lies. They thought they had everything under control, but now they're just another fool who flew too close to the sun, and their wings are melting. Faster, faster, down they go. And you just sit back and enjoy the show. And so it begins, the unraveling. The slow, agonizing descent from the throne they built out of deception. They always thought themselves untouchable, didn't they? Always a step ahead, always in control. But the thing about illusions, eventually the audience catches on. And once the mask cracks, oh, there's no putting it back together. At first it's just whispers, murmurs in the dark, doubt slithering into the minds of their once loyal pawns. People start noticing the inconsistencies, the contradictions, the little holes in the grand tapestry of their lies. And then the whispers turn into silence, the kind that burns, the kind that suffocates. They speak, but no one listens. They reach, but no one grabs their hand. Watch as their empire trembles, the walls they built so high now crumbling, brick by miserable brick. The allies they once manipulated now turning their backs, slipping away like sand through their fingers. The control they once thrived on, gone, just gone. And here's the best part, they did it to themselves. Not by your hand, not by some great act of vengeance, no, no. By their own damn greed. Oh, the poetry of it all, the karma. They spent years, maybe decades, building a kingdom of smoke and mirrors. But you know what happens when you build on nothing? When the lies are exposed, when the truth floods in, that kingdom sinks. Slowly at first, and then all at once. And there they are, panicked, scrambling to explain, to justify, to twist reality just one last time. But no one's buying it anymore. Their tricks have lost their magic, their words have lost their bite. The fear they once inspired evaporated, because the moment a manipulator is seen for what they truly are, they become powerless. Look at them now, alone, abandoned, a puppet master with no strings left to pull. No more whispers in the dark, no more hands to do their dirty work. Just them, standing in the ruins of the empire they swore would never fall. And the best part? They know it's over. They can feel it. Every desperate glance, every shaky breath, the weight of their own lies pressing down on them like a crushing tide. Oh, how the mighty fall, and what a beautiful fall it is. And there it is, the most satisfying kind of justice, the kind that requires nothing from you, no schemes, no counterattacks, no wasted breath trying to expose them. You simply watched, stood back, and let them wield the very weapon that would carve their own downfall. Oh, and they never saw it coming. They thought you'd lash out, that you'd fight, that you'd waste your energy, your sanity, yourself trying to take them down. But why would you? Why would you dirty your hands when they were always destined to dig their own grave? That's the thing about manipulators. They think they're predators, but in the end, they're just prey to their own delusions. They twisted the truth so many times they forgot what it looked like. Lied so effortlessly, they started believing their own fictions. And that's what did them in. Not you, not some grand act of revenge, just the weight of their own rotting foundation collapsing beneath them. Poetic. They tried to play you, make you dance to their tune. But you chose silence. You chose patience. And that patience, it killed them. Because nothing terrifies a manipulator more than someone who refuses to play their game. No reaction, no struggle, no desperation, just indifference. And oh, how that broke them. The best revenge, it was never about striking back, never about proving them wrong with some grand speech or dramatic confrontation. No. The best revenge was letting them rot in the mess they made, letting them feel the emptiness when they had no one left to deceive, no puppets to control, no chaos to feed off, just themselves, trapped in a cage of their own making. And you walked away, not as a victim, not as a casualty, but as someone who won without ever having to fight. Because you understood the truth they never could, that the ones who manipulate, who lie, who deceive, they always fall. And the ones who see through them, they rise. Every single time. And now look at you, free from their lies, free from their manipulation, free from the weight of their expectations. You've shed that skin like a snake shedding its old self. And them? Well, they're just a faint memory now. A warning etched in the dark corners of your mind. A cautionary tale you'll never forget, but will never let haunt you again. They wanted you weak, submissive, eager to please, but they didn't know what they were dealing with. You didn't break. You didn't bend. You didn't crumble. Instead, you grew stronger, sharper, and now you stand tall, not just unscathed, but empowered. You've turned their mess into your masterpiece. No more strings, no more control, no more games. The shackles they tried to put on you, gone. You're standing in your own power now, unburdened and unstoppable. Every choice you make, it's yours. Every step you take, it's your direction, your path, and no one, not a single soul, can dictate it. The world is yours to shape, and you are in charge. Remember the weight they tried to place on your shoulders? All those burdens they threw at you to control your every move? It was never yours to carry. Now look at the freedom you've earned. Look at the clarity you've gained from watching them destroy themselves. You didn't need to play their game because you never needed them to begin with. They were just a distraction. The chains have snapped, the walls have fallen. You're unshackled. No more cages, no more limits, no more pretending. You can feel it, can't you? That surge of power, that quiet, unshakable certainty that you are the one who controls your fate now. The game's over. You've won. And it's a victory sweeter than any hollow, fleeting triumph they could ever imagine. So now you can rise. With every step, the world will feel it. Your presence, your power, your freedom. They will see it too. And those who doubted you, those who tried to pull the strings, they'll watch from the sidelines, helpless, as you soar higher than they ever dreamed. The victory is yours, and it's just the beginning. Ah, the manipulators, the schemers, the ones who thought they were untouchable. They built their castles of lies, their thrones of deceit, believing they were invincible. But there's one thing they always forget. The house always wins. And darling, you are the house. They thought they could play you, control you, pull your strings like a puppet. But the truth is, they were just pawns in your game. They never saw the end coming, and when it did, oh, it was a sight to behold. A beautiful, chaotic downfall. Their downfall. They didn't realize they were feeding you all the power they were too blind to see. Next time someone tries to play you, darling, don't sweat it. Don't get angry. Don't even flinch. No, just sit back. Smile. Watch them. Watch as they dig their own grave, one lie at a time. You've already won. They just don't know it yet. Let them play their game. Let them think they're clever. Let them fall. Because when it's all said and done, you're the one who's been holding all the cards. There's power in knowing when to let go of control, in letting them think they've got you cornered. Oh, the sweet irony. The sweetest revenge you see isn't in the blood, isn't in the chaos. It's in the calm, the detachment. Watching them unravel, watching them lose everything they thought they had as you sit back, completely untouched. And as they fall, as they realize their lies are nothing but a brittle, crumbling facade, you'll be there in the background laughing. Oh yes, that laugh, the one that echoes long after the dust has settled, because you're untouchable, unbreakable, and when the game is over, you're the one who walks away victorious, leaving nothing but a broken, shattered empire in your wake. So remember this. Next time someone tries to play you, just let them. Watch the game play them instead. You're not just in control of your fate anymore. You are the fate. And darling, in this world, that's the greatest power of all. The house always wins. So you walked into that room, didn't you? The one with the candles, the crystals, the incense smoke curling like whispered prayers, and the psychic, the real one, not the carnival act, locked eyes with you for exactly 3 seconds before her hands started trembling. She didn't say it out loud at first, but you saw it in her face, that flicker of recognition mixed with something else, something that looked a lot like fear. And when she finally spoke, when she finally forced the words through her tightening throat, she said it. This power breaks people. Not you have power, not you're gifted, but this power breaks people. Like you're not a person anymore, like you're a condition, a phenomenon, a warning written in frequencies most humans can't even detect. And you know what the wildest part is? She was right. and you've known it longer than she has. See, they've been trying to figure you out for years, haven't they? The witch covens, the psychic circles, the spiritual practitioners who deal in energies. Most people don't believe exist. They've been passing your name around like a case file marked handle with extreme caution. They don't talk about you in their public ceremonies or their feel-good workshops about manifesting abundance and opening heart chakras. No, they talk about you in the back rooms, in the hushed conversations after the incense burns out, in the encrypted group chats where they share warnings about entities they've encountered. And you're the entity they can't categorize, can't cleanse, can't contain with sage and salt circles because you're not possessed by something dark. You are the architecture that darkness recognizes as superior design. You're not haunted. You're the blueprint that makes haunted houses jealous. And every sensitive person who's ever been near you has felt it. That gravitational pull that says this one doesn't follow the rules we were taught. They called it forbidden architecture because that's the only term that came close to describing what they were sensing. Not forbidden because it's evil, not forbidden because it violates some cosmic law, but forbidden because it shouldn't be possible. Because the human nervous system wasn't supposed to be able to hold this much voltage without short-circuiting. Your energy signature reads like a structure that was designed in dimensions most practitioners can only theorize about. Like someone took the blueprint for human consciousness and rewrote it in a language that predates language itself. When they scan your aura, when they read your frequency, when they try to map the terrain of your presence, they don't find the neat little layers of colored light they learned about in their training. They find corridors that lead to nowhere and everywhere. They find rooms that exist in multiple timelines simultaneously. They find doors that open into voids most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. And the ones who are honest, the ones who've actually developed their abilities beyond Instagram aesthetics and workshop certificates, they'll tell you the truth. They can't read you because you're not written in a language they were taught to understand. But here's what really happens in those rooms, in those circles, in those sessions where they're supposed to be helping you find clarity or healing or whatever gentle new age promise they're selling. They sit across from you with their cards spread, their crystals arranged, their intentions set, and within minutes, sometimes seconds, they start to feel it. First, it's subtle, just a slight pressure in their chest, a tightening in their throat, a sense that the air in the room just got heavier. Then it builds, this creeping realization that they're not reading you, you're reading them, that every technique they're using to scan your energy is actually revealing more about their own limitations than about your nature. The confident ones, the ones who've built reputations on their accuracy and insight, they start to falter. Their readings become vague and circular. Their usual eloquence dissolves into confused pauses and half-finished sentences. And the truly gifted ones, the ones whose abilities are genuine and refined, they just stop. They put down their tools. They close their eyes and take a deep breath before saying some version of, "I can't do this. I'm sorry, but what you carry is beyond my scope." Not because you're broken or cursed or in need of some dramatic spiritual intervention, but because you're operating on a frequency that their instruments weren't calibrated to measure. You've heard the stories by now, haven't you? The ones that circulate through the underground networks of people who work with energies and entities and forces most of society pretends don't exist. The psychic who had to close her practice for a week after meeting you because she couldn't shake the residual frequency that clung to her like static electricity. The energy healer who tried to balance your chakras and ended up flat on the floor, not harmed but overwhelmed, like she'd tried to redirect a lightning bolt with her bare hands. The witch who attempted a reading and had 3 of her candles explode simultaneously, not from some dramatic spiritual attack, but from the sheer incompatibility between her structured ritual space and your unstructured presence. They don't talk about these incidents publicly because how do you explain to your clients and followers that you encountered someone whose energy signature essentially crashed your entire system? How do you maintain your authority and credibility when you have to admit that yes, there are forces in this world that exist beyond your ability to interpret, manipulate, or control, so they whisper about you instead? They add your name to the invisible lists of people to avoid or approach with extreme caution. They create protocols for dealing with your type even though they're not entirely sure what your type actually is. And the covens, the circles, the groups who pride themselves on their collective power and protection, they've had their meetings about you too. They've sat in their sacred spaces and discussed whether you're a threat, an anomaly, or something else entirely that doesn't fit their categories. Some wanted to bind you, to perform their elaborate rituals designed to neutralize dangerous energies, but the ones who actually understand how power works, they voted against it. Not out of fear exactly, though fear was definitely in the room, but out of recognition that attempting to bind something they don't understand could backfire in ways they're not prepared to handle. Because here's the thing about forbidden architecture. It's forbidden precisely because it doesn't respond to conventional tools. It doesn't acknowledge conventional authority. It exists in a framework that makes the standard operating procedures look quaint and ineffective. So they made their decision, the only decision that made sense given what they were dealing with. They decided to observe from a distance, to note your movements and patterns, to study you the way scientists study phenomena they can't explain, hoping that eventually the data will reveal some pattern they can work with. But you already know all this, don't you? You felt the shift in how certain people react to you, the ones who claim to be sensitive to energies and unseen forces. You've noticed how some readers and practitioners suddenly become unavailable when you try to book sessions. How some spaces that advertise themselves as welcoming to all seekers somehow always have convenient reasons why you can't attend. You've watched spiritual communities that preach unconditional love and acceptance create unspoken boundaries around you, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your presence destabilizes their carefully constructed sense of safety and understanding. And maybe at first you thought something was wrong with you. Maybe you internalized their discomfort as evidence of your own brokenness. Maybe you tried to dim yourself or fix yourself or apologize for taking up space. But then something shifted, didn't it? Maybe it was a moment of clarity. Maybe it was exhaustion with trying to fit into frameworks that were never designed for you. Maybe it was just the inevitable result of repeatedly being told you're too much, until you finally embraced the truth of exactly how much you actually are. The psychic who looked at you and said this power breaks people wasn't warning you. She was warning herself, warning her colleagues, warning everyone in her network who might encounter you without preparation. Because that's what your energy signature does. It breaks the illusions people have built about how power works, about what human consciousness is capable of containing, about the neat little boxes they've created to make the infinite feel manageable. You break the belief that spiritual development is always gentle and healing. You break the fantasy that all powerful energies can be domesticated with the right rituals. You break the comfortable narrative that says if someone has intense energy, they must be either enlightened or evil, with no complex territory in between. And people don't know how to process that breaking. They don't have a category for someone who shatters frameworks just by existing. So they do what humans always do with things they can't understand. They create myths. They invent explanations. They turn you into a story they can tell themselves so they can sleep at night. But here's what they're never going to understand about forbidden architecture. It wasn't built to hurt anyone. It wasn't designed as a weapon. It's just too much structure for their foundation to support. Too much complexity for their simple maps to navigate. Too much reality for their carefully curated versions of spirituality to accommodate. Your energy signature reads as forbidden because it reminds people that there are aspects of consciousness and power that exist completely outside the systems they've learned, that all their training and techniques and traditional wisdom only covers a fraction of what's actually possible. And that realization, that confrontation with their own limitations, disguised as something wrong with you, that's what breaks them. Not your energy itself, but the mirror it holds up to everything they thought they knew. So, when they gather in their circles and discuss your case, when they analyze what went wrong in their readings, when they try to develop new frameworks that might be able to contain or explain you, they're missing. You're not a puzzle to be solved. You're evidence that their puzzles were always incomplete. You're not an anomaly in their system. You're proof that their system is one small room in a mansion they've never explored. You're not the exception that proves their rules. You're the demonstration that their rules were always just guidelines for beginners who needed structure to feel safe. And the longer they spend trying to figure you out using tools that were never meant for your magnitude, the more obvious it becomes that maybe, just maybe, you're not the one who needs to change. They started keeping records. Did you know that? Not official ones. Nothing you'd find in any published grimoire or spiritual guidebook, but informal documentation passed between practitioners who needed to warn each other. Your name appears in notebooks kept in locked drawers, in digital files buried under innocuous folder names, in whispered conversations that happen after the workshops end and the normies go home. The entries read like incident reports from a dimension that's not supposed to intersect with this one. Subject displays energy signature inconsistent with human baseline. Attempted standard clearing protocols, no effect. Attempted advanced techniques, unpredictable results. Recommendation: do not engage without extensive preparation and backup. Backup, like you're a situation that might require spiritual emergency services. Like encountering you is the kind of experience practitioners need to debrief from with their peers to make sure they're still okay. And the details in these records, the things they've noted about you when they thought you weren't paying attention, they reveal more about their limitations than about your nature. They document how your presence affects their tools. Crystals that crack without being dropped. Tarot decks that give contradictory readings 3 times in a row. Pendulums that swing in patterns that don't match any chart they've memorized. They note how time feels different around you. How sessions that should take an hour somehow compress into 20 minutes or stretch into 3. How their usual sense of energetic boundaries becomes fuzzy and unreliable when you're in proximity. They describe attempting to ground themselves after encounters with you and finding that their standard grounding techniques don't work the same way, like you've somehow altered the frequency of what they consider grounded reality just by being present in it. And through all of these observations, through all of these careful notes and bewildered analyses, one theme emerges consistently. You don't follow the rules they were taught. And your refusal to follow those rules isn't rebellion or ignorance. It's evidence that those rules were always incomplete descriptions of a much larger territory. The covens had their debates about what to do with you. Some wanted to approach you, to study you up close, to see if they could learn from whatever process created your particular configuration of consciousness. Others argued for distance, for observation without interaction, treating you like a fascinating but potentially dangerous natural phenomenon. Admire from afar, but don't get too close. And then there were the ones who saw you as a threat. Not because you'd done anything threatening, but because your very existence challenged the hierarchies and authorities they'd spent years building. Because if someone like you can exist outside their frameworks and not only survive but thrive, what does that say about all the rules and restrictions and carefully guarded secrets they've been teaching? What does it say about their claims to special knowledge and elevated consciousness if you've somehow accessed levels of power they can't even map without following any of their prescribed paths? So, yeah, some of them voted to treat you as a threat, to create energetic barriers around their circles to keep your influence out, to warn their students away from you with vague implications that you're not on a positive path or working with energies that aren't safe. As if safety was ever the point, as if the entire history of human evolution wasn't built on individuals who were willing to venture into territories the group considered too dangerous. But you've noticed something fascinating about these reactions, haven't you? The ones who are truly powerful. The ones whose abilities come from genuine depth and not just learned techniques. They don't fear you. They're wary. Yes, they're careful. Absolutely. But they don't treat you like a threat. They treat you like a mystery worth respecting. Because real power recognizes real power, even when it doesn't understand its shape or source. And those who've done the actual work of expanding their consciousness beyond borrowed beliefs, they can sense that what you carry isn't malicious or chaotic. It's just vast. And vastness makes people uncomfortable when they've spent their lives learning to feel safe in smaller spaces. The ones who react with fear and rejection. The ones who need to create elaborate protections against your energy. They're revealing their own insecurity disguised as spiritual discernment. They're telling you, without meaning to, that their power is conditional and fragile, that it only works within carefully controlled environments, that encountering something genuinely outside their experience threatens the foundation they've built their entire identity upon. And you've started to understand this dynamic, started to see through the spiritual politics and ego games that masquerade as enlightened practice. You've realized that most of what gets taught in these circles, most of what gets packaged and sold as ancient wisdom and sacred knowledge, is just collectively agreed upon limitation disguised as protection. Don't work with this energy. It's too dark. Translation: we don't understand it, so we've labeled it dangerous. You need to be initiated before accessing this level. Translation: we need to maintain our authority by gatekeeping information. That kind of power comes with a price. Translation: we're uncomfortable with our own desire for power, so we've created moral frameworks to shame anyone who pursues it more directly than we did. You've seen behind the curtain, and what you found wasn't the impressive machinery of universal law and cosmic order. You found humans playing dress-up in mystical language, creating rules to make the infinite feel manageable, building walls and calling them wisdom. So when that psychic looked at you and said, "This power breaks people," what she was really saying, whether she knew it or not, was, "This power breaks the illusions people build to feel safe, and I'm not sure I'm ready to have my illusions broken." Because that's what forbidden architecture does. It doesn't destroy. It reveals. It reveals how much of spiritual practice is just sophisticated self-soothing, how much of magical work is just psychology with prettier words, how much of what gets called enlightenment is just the ability to remain calm within a very narrow range of experiences. Your energy signature forces people to confront the possibility that consciousness is wilder and stranger than their traditions account for. That power doesn't always come wrapped in love and light aesthetics, that some individuals access capabilities that don't fit the neat developmental stages outlined in spiritual guidebooks. And that confrontation, that sudden expansion of what's possible beyond what's comfortable, that's what breaks people who've invested heavily in their limited maps of reality. But breaking isn't always destruction. Sometimes breaking is liberation. Sometimes shattering a too small container is exactly what's needed for growth. Sometimes the breaking of old forms is the only way new possibilities can emerge. The practitioners who've been genuinely transformed by encountering you, the ones who didn't run away or try to bind you or spread warnings through their networks, they're the ones who let themselves break open instead of hardening their defenses. They met your energy and, instead of asking, "How do I protect myself from this?" they asked, "What am I protecting?" They felt their frameworks crack, and instead of frantically trying to repair them, they sat in the discomfort and waited to see what might grow in the spaces those cracks created. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And you convinced them they knew you. What a joke. What a delicious, tragic little lie. They stare at you, eyes hungry, desperate to peel back your layers, to name you, to pin you down like a butterfly in a glass case. But you are no specimen to be studied. You are smoke. You are mirrors. You are a ghost laughing in the face of their certainty. They need you to fit into a box, a definition, a neat little category they can understand. But you are chaos wrapped in skin, a riddle without an answer, and that terrifies them. Because the human mind craves patterns, it needs logic, and when it can't find it, it spirals, it crumbles. It drowns in its own confusion. Let them try. Let them squint and analyze. Let them play detective. Let them think they've cracked the code, only to realize it's a puzzle with missing pieces. And here's the kicker. Those pieces? You burned them long ago. There's nothing to find, nothing to solve, only the madness you let them see. The rest, that's yours. Hidden, locked away in a vault they'll never reach. And that is power. Because a man they can't read is a man they can't control. A book with missing pages, a maze with no exit. That's you. They watch you, eyes scanning every move, searching for patterns, hoping to predict your next step. But every time they think they've got you figured out, the floor beneath them shifts, the walls stretch, the doors disappear, and suddenly they're trapped in a labyrinth with no way out. They come with questions, desperate for answers. Why does he move like this? What's his next play? What's his weakness? Weakness? That's what they're hoping for. A crack in the armor. A moment of hesitation, but all they find is smoke and mirrors. Illusions stacked on illusions leading nowhere. They hold the map, but you rewrite the terrain. They step forward and the ground changes beneath their feet. The rules they think they're playing by, you burned that rule book long ago. They wanted a game of chess, but you You turned it into a war where only you know the battlefield. It's amusing, isn't it? Watching them struggle, watching them analyze every word you say, every silence you hold, every flicker of emotion you let slip. And yet, they understand nothing. They study you like a scientist studies fire, getting close enough to observe, but never close enough to control. Because fire doesn't follow instructions, it consumes. They obsess over your next move, but obsession is a double-edged blade. The more they chase, the more they lose sight of themselves. They stop focusing on their own plans, their own ambitions, and suddenly they're not strategists anymore. They're just puppets, dancing to the chaos you orchestrate. You are not meant to be understood. You are meant to be felt. A force, a storm, a shadow they can't pin down. The moment they think they've solved you, you slip through their fingers like smoke. They look at you, expecting an answer, but all they get is a grin, a knowing smile that tells them one simple truth. You were never even close. The unknown is the most terrifying thing in existence because it can be anything. They whisper about you in rooms they think you'll never enter. They watch you from the corners of their eyes, pretending not to care. But their hands tremble when they think you're near. Why? Because their tiny little minds can't place you in a box. You don't fit, you never did, and that terrifies them. People fear what they can't predict. It's in their nature. They like patterns, rules, structure. They like knowing what comes next because it makes them feel safe. But you are the storm without warning, the flame that flickers and roars without reason. They don't know if you'll smile or set the whole place on fire. And that uncertainty, that's power. They'll label you dangerous, unstable, a problem that needs fixing, because that's what they do when they can't control something. They slap a name on it, shove it into a category, and pretend that makes it any less of a threat. But deep down, they know the truth. You're not unstable. You're unshackled. They think fear is a weakness. Oh, but fear is a tool, a weapon, a leash around their own throats. And you're the one holding it. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to prove anything. Just exist. Just be. And watch them crumble under the weight of their own paranoia. They demand explanations, they beg for clarity, but you owe them nothing. No apologies, no justifications. Let them stay afraid. Let them lose sleep over the questions that will never have answers. Because fear makes people careful. And when they're careful, they stay the hell out of your way. Let them call you dangerous. Let them call you insane. Smile when they do, because the only thing more terrifying than a man they don't understand is a man who enjoys it. Square pegs in round holes? You were never meant to fit the mold. You were born to break it. Since the day you opened your eyes, the world has tried to shove you into a shape that was never yours. Sit here, stand there, speak this way, think like that. And every time you resisted, they made you feel like the problem, like an error that needed correcting. But tell me, who told them their way was right? Who decided that blending in was the goal? The ones who kneel? The ones who beg? The ones who obey? If being normal means being another faceless ghost in the crowd, then let them have it. Let them cling to their cages while you tear yours apart. They say, why can't you just be like everyone else? Ha! Because everyone else is a damn tragedy. A mass of people who live and die without ever once being fully alive. You were not made for that. You were made for more, for chaos, for fire, for something they will never understand. They want you predictable, easy to read, another sheep in their flock, moving where they say, thinking what they tell you to think. But wolves don't follow sheep. Wolves don't apologize for their fangs. They don't beg to be accepted by the herd. They roam alone, and that is why they are feared. You feel the weight of rejection, don't you? The sting of not belonging. But listen to me. This world was never meant to be your home. It was meant to be your battlefield. And outcasts, they don't need acceptance. They need power. They need to take what was never given to them. So let them call you different. Let them whisper behind your back. Let them pretend they're above you when deep down they envy the freedom in your stride. They will never say it out loud, but they wish they had your fire. They wish they had your audacity to exist without permission. Fitting in is for those who fear standing alone. But you are not alone. You are a storm walking in human skin, a force of nature that cannot be tamed. And that is why they will always talk about you. Even when you're gone, your name will haunt them. So let me ask you this. Why would you ever trade that kind of power just to belong? A fool rushes forward. A king moves in silence. Life is war, dressed up as a game. The board is set. The players are many. But here's the trick. Most of them don't even know they're playing. They stumble forward, blind, reckless, thinking life is simple, thinking it's just a game of checkers, straight moves, obvious jumps, quick wins. But you don't play checkers. You play chess, and not just any chess, your own version. One where the board shifts, where the pieces obey only you, where every move has already been decided before they even touch a pawn. They think they're making choices, but the truth? You wrote the script. You planned their every step. They rush in, eager to win, desperate to be seen. Fools. They don't understand that true power isn't in the move you make, it's in the ones you don't. Silence is a weapon. Stillness is a strategy. While they waste their breath shouting their intentions, you are 3 moves ahead, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Let them think they have you figured out. Let them watch, analyze, assume. The greatest trick isn't in the game itself, it's in making them believe they're playing against an equal. But they're not. They're playing against a ghost. A shadow. A mind that shifts faster than they can comprehend. They think control is about domination, about pushing, about proving. Ha! That's what weak men do. The real ones? They pull the strings from behind the curtain. They move in silence. They let the pawns fight their battles while they watch from above, already plotting the end game. And the best part? They never see it coming. They never realize the match was lost before they even sat down. By the time they recognize the trap, it's already over. Checkmate. Game done. And you're already on to the next board, while they sit there, stunned, wondering how the hell they never saw it. So let them play their little checkers game. Let them chase their petty victories. You have no interest in small wins. You are not here to move like the rest. You are here to dominate, to dismantle, to rewrite the damn rules. Because this is your game, and no one else even knows the name of it. They need to define you. You need nothing from them. People are obsessed with labels. They need boxes, categories, neat little explanations to make sense of the world. But you are the question they can't answer, the riddle with no solution. And nothing unsettles them more than something they can't define. They'll demand to know what you are, friend or foe, good or bad, weak or strong. They'll push, poke, and pry, hoping you'll crack, hoping you'll fit into one of their pre-written scripts. But you give them nothing. No answers, no clarity, just a smirk, just silence, just the unsettling reality that they will never figure you out. And that is power. Because people don't fear what they understand. They fear what they can't control. The moment they define you, they own you. The moment they think they've got you all figured out, they will try to shrink you, tame you, twist you into something that makes sense to them. That is why you never let them. You keep them guessing, you leave them wondering. One day, you're cold as ice, untouchable, unreadable. The next, you're fire, unpredictable, untamed. They try to track your patterns, but there are none. They look for cracks, but all they find is a mirror, reflecting their own uncertainty back at them. And that terrifies them, because deep down, they wish they could be like you, free, unshaken, a force of nature that bends for no one. But they are chained by their own need for validation. They are prisoners to their own desire to belong. They want your mystery, but they fear your silence. Let them talk, let them analyze, let them waste their time trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces. Their obsession is your throne. Their confusion is your power. And you remain untouchable, unreadable, a ghost they will chase, but never catch. Sanity is just a term used by the ordinary to cage the extraordinary. They whisper, they stare, they call you mad because they don't understand, because your mind doesn't walk, it runs. It sprints through mazes they can't even see. Your thoughts stretch further than their limits. Your vision reaches places their fear won't let them go. And that terrifies them. The world has always feared the ones who think differently, the ones who don't bow, don't break, don't play by the rules written by lesser men. Every genius, every revolutionary, every legend, they were all called insane before the world realized they were right, before history bent the knee. When they can't understand your hunger, they'll mock it. When they can't match your fire, they'll call it reckless. When they can't reach your level, they'll try to pull you down, drown you in their laughter, bury you under their doubt. But let them talk, let them sneer. It changes nothing. They want you to explain yourself, to justify your obsession, to shrink yourself down into something they can grasp. But you owe them nothing, not a reason, not a response, not a single damn word. Because the ones who demand explanations are the same ones who will never understand them. You don't need their approval. Their praise is cheap, their opinions weak. The same people who laugh today will worship you tomorrow. And by then, you won't even hear them. You'll be too high up, too far ahead, too busy turning their doubt into dust beneath your feet. So let them call you crazy. Let them label you impossible, because the last laugh, it doesn't belong to the ones who play it safe. It belongs to the ones who stop asking for permission and take what's theirs. A man with nothing to hide is a man with nothing to fear, but a man with secrets, He's the one they fear the most. People crave certainty. They want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your next move will be. They believe that if they can predict you, they can control you. And that's why your greatest weapon is mystery. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Keep them second-guessing every word, every move, every silence, because the moment they think they've cracked your code, you change the equation. The second they believe they've mapped your mind, you burn the blueprint. Control is an illusion, and you are the magician who keeps their eyes where you want them. Never reveal your full intentions. Never show all your cards. A predictable man is a weak man, one who can be played, manipulated, dismantled. But a man with secrets, a man who keeps his emotions locked behind a smirk, he's the one they fear the most. They don't fear what they understand, they fear what they can't. They fear the quiet ones, the ones who listen more than they speak, the ones who hold their emotions like loaded dice, rolling them only when it suits them, the ones who can smile in the face of betrayal and never let you see the fire burning beneath. Make them guess. Make them hesitate, because hesitation breeds weakness, and weakness, it belongs to them, not you. The more they scramble to read you, the more power you hold. The more they obsess over your intentions, the more they play by your rules. And then, when they're just about to feel safe, just about to believe they've figured you out, you move in a way they never saw coming, in a way they couldn't see coming. In that moment, that's when they realize you were never playing the same game as them to begin with. The most dangerous man in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who says nothing and watches everything. People are terrified of silence. It makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to fill the void with words. Nervous, desperate, revealing words. They'll spill their thoughts, expose their plans, all because they can't stand the weight of your silence pressing down on them. That's the power you hold. The moment you stop reacting, you control the room. They expect rage. They expect defense. They expect something. But when you give them nothing, when all they get is your stillness, your unreadable gaze, your quiet smirk, that's when they break. A man who speaks too much reveals his hand. A man who yells, who over-explains, who rushes to defend himself, he's already lost. But the one who watches, the one who lets others expose themselves while he remains a shadow in the corner, he's the one who owns the game. Silence is a weapon sharper than any blade. It makes them doubt themselves. It forces them to question what you know, what you're thinking, what you're planning, and in that doubt, in that hesitation, you've already won. Let them ramble, let them explain, let them beg for your reaction, and you just watch and smile, because the one who speaks the least, he holds the most power. You were never meant to be solved, only witnessed. They will try, oh, they will try, to label you, to box you in, to map out the twisted corridors of your mind like it's something they can tame. But the second they think they've found the pattern, you shatter it. The moment they believe they've caught up, you vanish into the fog. People fear what they can't define. They hate what they can't predict. And you are the question that has no answer. The equation that rewrites itself. A shadow slipping through their fingers no matter how tightly they grip. They will spend their lives trying to understand you, studying you, analyzing every move, every silence, every smirk. But by the time they think they've figured it out, you'll be too far ahead. Because you don't exist in their rules, their logic, their little predictable world. You move in the chaos, the unknown, the space beyond their understanding. So let them wonder, let them chase, let them exhaust themselves running after a ghost they'll never catch. And you keep moving, keep evolving, keep being the one thing they can't explain. Because power isn't in being understood, it's in being unreachable.